On the second and third day of our road trip from Uyuni to Atacama, we explored the Altiplano lakes, watched different species of flamingos, desert landscapes, the Red Lagoon, various volcanic activities before crossing the Bolivia-Chile border. And keep watching as we share the tour information, cost and planning so that you can plan your Salar de Uyuni tour.
In case you missed our previous video, on day 1 of our Salar de Uyuni tour, we crossed the world's largest salt flats before stopping for the night at a salt hotel. Yeah, a hotel made of salt.
Hola, namaste.
This is Pubali.
This is Sindranil and we are Paradise Catchers.
We are an Indian couple living in Costa Rica and we bring to you stories about traveling and digital nomad life in Latin America.
We are getting ready for our second day. Had a good breakfast, breads, eggs and some good coffee. Today will be a long day and it will not be as easy as yesterday. The roads might not be as good and we will be gaining altitude. But the views, as we were told, will be amazing. New landscapes, lots of volcanoes, lakes and wildlife.
We are here at a lagoon where there are several flamingos, and the landscape here is also beautiful with the reflection of the hills on the lake and the flamingos and birds flying around and just enjoying their day. Of course, Enril is busy with the camera and we are also just taking in the sights of this beautiful scenery. Just a random stop here on the way to see dozens of llamas, ¿cómo se llama? The dozens of llamas, they're just grazing on the ground and we stopped for some photo ops. The scenery is still very beautiful.
The llamas are from the same family as camels, but they are just smaller and they are mostly domesticated. We saw many herds of llamas while crossing the green parts of the Altiplano region. And we had another stop to watch the vicuñas. These are also from the camel family and a relative of the llamas, but a lot less hairy. Also, these are wild, so that's why they are shy and they go away if you come closer. The trivia: vicuña is the national animal of Peru. Although we were past the Uyuni salt flats, there were some salt flats we were sometimes passing by, which our guide jokingly called the baby salt flats. And we had our lunch in a tiny place just beside one of these salt flats. Beautiful views. As we restarted our journey after our lunch, we were in for several treats.
Thousands of flamingos hanging around here in this lake. Here we can spot 3 different species of flamingos: the Andean flamingos, the Chilean flamingos and the great flamingos. Can you hear the sounds of the flamingos? That's it.
As we gain more altitude, we enter one of the driest places on earth, the Siloli Desert. This is kind of an open-air natural museum of rocks in the middle of Siloli Desert. This is one of the most famous natural monuments of the desert, the rock tree. See, Pubali is running away from the wind. Hey, 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 where are you going? Hey.
It's so windy here.
Hear me trying to explain the layers of the rock, acting like a geologist. This is one of the most amazing things that we have seen apart from the Uyuni salt flat, and nothing less than that. A red lagoon, a completely red lagoon. Look at the number of flamingos. all red from the red algae or planktons that they are eating from the lake. This is the reason why we find so many flamingos here, although it is a desert. The Red Lagoon or the Laguna Colorada is part of the Eduardo Avaroa Anden Natural Reserve. This lagoon is another natural wonder of the region. The surrounding mountains, the Red Lagoon and the flamingos together make this something fascinating. Now we have reached almost 5,000 meters and you can see these volcanic activities, non-stop smoke coming out, and it is still so cold, so windy. So you can see that the smoke coming out is just going away in seconds. This looks like multiple pots are put on oven to boil water or to boil mud. There is a strong smell of sulfur, but apart from the smell, it doesn't feel like we are standing beside boiling water and mud, as it is so cold and windy. Look at the color on the mountains. We are ending the day, but it had so many things packed in just one day. We are now tired, just need some rest. Didn't take pictures or video, but we spent some time at a hot spring in the middle of this desert, this cold desert, and it felt so good after the tiring day. And we could see the galaxy with our naked eyes. This is just a photo from our phone, not even a camera.
We had put this for drying outside after the hot springs, and in the morning it has turned solid. Why? The water has turned into ice. So now it's like a cookie.
So we will be continuing our journey. Now we will be going towards the Chile border because we will have to cross the border to go to San Pedro de Atacama in Chile. We will have our breakfast here before we start rest of the tour. But before that, there will be a couple of stops. The first stop being the Salvador Dali Desert. Part of the desert is interesting because of the colors of the hills. See that so many different colors formed due to different kind of chemical reactions, and it is called Dali because to pay homage to the painter because of his abstract ideas, and we see similar kind of things naturally formed here in this desert.
This was our last stop in Bolivia. After getting some photos with the Laguna Verde with the backdrop of Licancabur Volcano, we continued with our next activity, crossing the border from Bolivia to Chile. First, one of us had to get down and walk to the customs office of Bolivia and fill up an online form for the customs declaration. It was a very easy procedure and our guide helped me with this one. Then we continued the drive up to that building, that white one with the red roof. We stopped the immigration office of Bolivia, where we completed the exit formalities. This is where we said bye to the rest of the group and our guide and driver, and we were transferred from our 4x4 vehicle in Bolivia to a van in Chile. Before continuing with the Bolivia-Chile border crossing, let us talk about the Uyuni Tour itself. So you have seen the salt flats, you have seen the beautiful sunsets, you have seen the volcanoes, the flamingos, the lakes, but how can you experience all of this for yourself? Our first recommendation, book the Bolivia Salt Flats tour in advance. If you are going to do what we did, that is travel from Uyuni in Bolivia to San Pedro de Atacama in Chile, you can book these tours. We are going to put some links and you can choose any of those tours. Usually a shared tour for the Uyuni Salt Flats cost about $200 to $300 per person. It includes everything. We will get to the details of that. But why does the price vary? It can vary depending on the time of the year or the type of room that you're opting for. Whether you're going to stay in a dorm, sharing the room with others, or if you're going to stay in a room with a shared bathroom, or in a private room with a private bathroom. So all of these factors will determine what your total Uyuni tour cost will be.
First, the transportation. So we were picked up from Uyuni in a 4x4 vehicle, and that was our ride for the entire tour.
until the Bolivia-Chile border. At the Chile border, we were picked up in another van that took us to San Pedro de Atacama.
For this 3-day tour of Uyuni salt flats, 2 nights of accommodation are usually included in the tour price. The first night is at a salt hotel and the second night is at a basic hotel. Did you see the salt hotel in the first video? This guy wanted to lick the salt. Don't do that.
No, I didn't say that on camera.
Yeah, you cannot lick the salt at the salt hotel. And for the second night, the stay was in the middle of nowhere at about 5,000 meters altitude, surrounded by volcanoes by a lake. As you can imagine, you cannot really expect a lot of amenities or facilities in this kind of place.
But it was close to the hot springs.
Yes, so that was amazing. In the evening after dinner, we just walked a few steps to the hot spring and we were under a starry night, could see the Milky Way with our naked eyes. We felt the warmth of the hot springs in that cold night. It was amazing. For food, everything is included from the first day of the tour after the pickup, that is from lunch until breakfast on the 3rd day.
And if you want to carry some snacks, then you can carry on your own. Obviously, that will not be included in the tour price.
And do carry the chocolates and also chew a lot of coca leaves because you will be traveling at a very high altitude. And talking about snacks, this guy's go-to snack is chocolate and biscuit cookies. Apart from transportation, accommodation and food, some other things are also included which are essential.
The services, we had a bilingual guide with us, was really good. He explained everything from the geography and some of the things that we saw on our way, took care of us, like whether we were having any problem or any issues, and they made sure that we were feeling comfortable during our ride, particularly on the second day, which was a very long day, and also whether we were having fun. And they also instructed us everything that we need to do for the border crossing of Bolivia and Chile. So their services of both the guide and the driver were excellent.
We mentioned earlier that you should carry a few Bolivianos in cash because you will need to pay for the Incawasi tickets and also the entrance tickets to the national park where you will see the lagoons and the volcanoes.
And the hot spring.
And the hot springs.
Here is a summary of the inclusions of the tour.
Before the border crossing, everyone on the Bolivian side were just instructing us that you have to be careful. They will check a lot of things. You should not carry any perishable items in your bag because they will check with their hands, the customs on the Chilean side. And even like when we were transferred to the van on the Chilean part of the border, the driver, before reaching the immigration office, the driver was constantly telling us that, do you have anything in the bag? There were some other people in our van as well, so they were also constantly checking that if they had anything, any food items. We should not have anything.
And he had a trash bag in the van where people could dispose of their bananas, oranges, apples, whatever snacks were remaining.
So that guy was so tense that he was not even smiling at that point of time.
And we understood why all the people were so skeptical or so tense about this procedure, because for all the passengers going through the customs and immigration at this Hito Cajon border, the bags are hand checked. Like they will physically open every piece of your baggage, check the contents of the bags and then close them. It's not a very comfortable process. However, we felt fine with the entire thing because all the officers were so smiling, and in fact, I think the officer made some jokes with you when he heard that we are from India.
He said, like, you're from India, don't you have semijas or lentils in our bag? So we said, no, we are not carrying any food items.
So right after this, when all the passengers boarded the van again, we saw a completely different side of our driver and the guide. He put on some cheerful music and he gave a very warm and happy introduction to
Chile.
Yes, it was like we are meeting a completely different person.
On the other side of the border.
And then he put on some nice music and everyone started swaying to that happy music.
And we were welcomed at San Pedro de Atacama.
Welcome to San Pedro de Atacama,
Chile.
Chile.
The southernmost country in the world.